All right, we're going to move on to the Bengals. This has already been more fun of a division to talk about than the one yesterday.
Three more fantasy-worthy players like on that team alone than anybody in the division yesterday besides
just other than Stephon Diggs.
Right, of course, yeah.
All right, let's talk Bengals. Led by Joe Burrow. Man, what a question mark this guy is. Yeah, I could see just him falling completely flat on his face, and I could see him being amazing. I would probably lean a little more towards the fall on your face just because I don't think Cincinnati's going to be that good, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised with either result. You got him 413 out of 630 for over 4,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, 16 picks, adding 55 rushes for 220 and 3 touchdowns. I would really caution him to rush as little as possible given the injuries coming off. 55 scares me right off the bat. Those numbers are good enough for 13 on your projection list and 15 on your big board.
Yeah, that's about right with how I'm feeling about him. Before the preseason training camp started, I had this number significantly higher, 630 pass attempts. As a rookie, he was on pace for 40 attempts a game nearly. It would have been the most in the NFL last year. It would have been the most by a rookie quarterback of all time had he been able to get healthy. But that was the rub there is the fact that we went hurt. They had no offensive line. They didn't really address it at all this year. And now he's tentative in camp. They're saying he's not really throwing it more than 10 yards down the field, that they just haven't been clicking on offense, that the defense has been swallowing them. And this isn't really that scary of a defense to be swallowing an offense. The good news is, like, as of this week, it sounds like the switch has kind of gone on for Burrow among his weapons as well, Chase and these guys. And he's starting to really pick the defense apart. And that's what you really want to start reading. So maybe I can bump these pass numbers up just a little bit in terms of attempts. I had him originally right at like 670 to pace the league in attempts, but the fact that he was playing hurt, playing tentative in camp so far, maybe dial those numbers back a little bit. But still, as you said, it could go one of two ways. He could get hurt, it could be horrible, he could be rusty off the knee, or he could pace the NFL in passing yards, TDs, because he has one of the best trios of receivers you could ever ask for. So a nice, like, I always say that, Trey Lance plus a guy, you can go like Burrow then Lance. I like that a lot. I do like that a lot.
All right, well, we're going to stick with what we did with Baltimore. We're going to go right to the wide receivers because you referenced having 3 excellent receivers, and then we'll get back to the running back in a second. This receiving group, when I looked at your numbers and I looked at their projections and what you got on the big board, I was kind of taken aback. Not taken aback because I think you're wrong, just kind of like it made me actually process the information that was there. You got Jamar Chase, 76 catches for almost 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's on 126 targets. Then you got T. Higgins, 77 for almost 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns, also on 126 targets. And then you got Tyler Boyd, 83 catches, 913, 7 touchdowns. That's on 120 targets. Those guys, you've got respectively Higgins, 22 on the projections board, Chase, 28, Boyd, 32. And then on the big board, you like Higgins even a little bit. You like them all a little bit more. You like Boyd a little bit less. Higgins, you got his 20 on the big board, Chase 28 again, and Boyd 36. So your rankings are pretty consistent board to board. The fact is you got 3 guys in your 20 to mid-30s range. That's really good for a 3 receiving core. I would say that looking at the receiving cores in the league that I can think of off the top of my head, maybe Tampa Bay is right around there, and the Steelers, who we're actually going to talk about later, have got 3 guys kind of flirting with that area too. And I'm not sure if anybody else does.
Exactly. It's such a deadly trio, Nat. And that's why I do hope Burrow is as healthy as he is. Because if we get the enormous aerial pie we saw last year, it can easily sustain these 3 mouths and even potentially Mixon through the air as well. But if they do dial it back, if they are conservative, then somebody's going to have to be on the chopping block here. And I don't think it's going to be Higgins or Boyd, who he already has the rapport with. It might end up being Jamar Chase. I don't expect that. I think ultimately that all 3 of these guys have a nice seat at the table in one of the more voluminous offensive attacks through the air, and it's going to be fine for all of them. PPR-wise, Boyd, so safe, so steady, a little bit less exciting, less of a ceiling, but he can do it all. He's as complete a receiver as you can be. Great red zone skill set, but Higgins is really the one I like the most. Big, long body, great down the seams, amazing in the red zone. So if I really think this offense takes that next step in terms of points, they were great at racking up yardage, and they just couldn't put it in quite often when they get there. I think Higgins could be a huge part of that. They're saying he's looking more explosive, more dynamite, especially with the ball in his hands. That's kind of where he struggled last year as a rookie, is after the catch didn't do a ton of damage, looking even better in that sense this year in year 2. The real wild card is definitely Jamar Chase. he has the potential to be the alpha, the number one. I mean, he was better than Justin Jefferson the last time he was on the field. He had Joe Burrow as his quarterback, racked up nearly 1,800 yards, like 20 TDs. It was insane. So that rapport is already there. He has the ability to be a true alpha above other good receivers around him. We've seen it already happen at the college level, but he's struggling with drops every day in practice. In the game last week, three targets, 3 drops. The Sunday after that, reporters were like laughing at how many drops this guy continued to have. It sounds like the last couple days he's turned it on a ton and just everything is going in, contested catches, like something switched there, which I've been waiting to see. That was my concern with Jamar Chase is he's having these drops. He's having these issues about picking up the offense, and he seems so kind of nonchalant about it. Like, oh, yeah, it'll get there. It'll be fine. Like he had already earned it because he was the 5th overall pick. He's already there. He was so good in college. He was already there. I mean, he was unstoppable, one of the best prospects to come in the last 5 years. So he should be amazing. He could be the alpha and see 170 targets if he lives up to his ceiling. This is me betting on him coming along slow as we've kind of seen, but maybe down the stretch, he becomes the most valuable of them all.
You want to know the auction values in our draft for those 3 guys?
Yeah, I think that's very helpful for anybody listening here.
All right. Well, helpful or wacky. I don't know. You tell me. Tyler Boyd was the cheapest. He was $8.
Good deal.
T. Higgins was $11. I got him.
Steal. Way too cheap. I know you got him, and I love it. You just wanted to brag about your deal.
No, that was half of it, but the other half was what do you think Chase went for if you had to guess?
Oh, he's so buzzy. I bet you he went for like 20 something, right?
22.
Yeah, way too much.
I paid half as much for Higgins.
Right. Exactly. You got Higgins for a half, 50% off. I think Higgins is going to outperform it at that price. So
I felt pretty good about that.
Unbelievable steal. And I think that's a good note for you auctioneers. Like Chase has buzz. He's going to be a big bid up there. Although the drops, again, starting to catch up. Everybody's seeing that more. But still, yeah, he's buzzy. An early nomination could be very valuable with Chase there to get people to blow their money.
Yep. All right, let's go to Mixon, who you referenced briefly. Maybe he can be a part of the aerial pie. On the ground, 274 rushes, 1,123 yards, and 10 touchdowns. That's to go along with 50 catches on 69 targets for 355 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's a pretty good stat line. You've got him as your RB14 on projections, 12 on the big board.
Yeah, there's nothing talent-wise I don't like about Mixon. He's always been a fantastic player. It's just the consistency. Every year he seems to start with like 3 complete duds. You're already 0-3. You're in a hole because you own Mixon, and then you hate him. And then he'll have a 35-point day after you bench him to send a message. He sends you a message on your bench. He's been so tough to figure out, but a lot of that trickiness has been Gio Bernard, who is since departed. Bernard scurrying in for a random 1-yard touchdown here, catching 7 balls there. We won't have to worry about that. And already the offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan's come out and said, that's Mixon, 3-down roll. We're not in here for any type of load management. We're going to ride this guy as much as we can. He's been the best player. According to every single beat report you read, Mixon is the best player on the field every single day in practice. Really just seems to be taking his game to the next level. Falls to round 2. I mean, that's one of those guys alongside Antonio Gibson, in my opinion. Mixon's one of those round 2 running backs that has the potential to leap into the top 3. Very few of those guys after you get out of the first round. Mixon is one of them. Obviously comes with injury risk himself, comes with the line is not that great, comes with the inconsistency risk of the pass. But I do think getting that Bernard role all to himself now, being a true 3-down back in an offense that I think should hit the next level if Chase can really be that next guy that everybody thought he could be and that he has not been yet. A lot of ifs there. That's kind of what I'm getting at with Mixon. That's why he falls to round 2, but certainly worth the investment, in my opinion, at that point, mid-round 2. Love that. I have 7th overall. I kind of want to go either Kelsey or Adams, whichever one comes to me. Get Mixon. If Gibson doesn't fall, get Mixon and have a shot at a top 5 running back in round 2. If he pans out, you win your league.
Yeah, he's burned me before, man.
It's a tough ask.
I mean, the way you described him was perfect at the beginning. Oh, 3 duds. You're waiting for him, and he's like putting up 7 points a game or something like that. Next thing you know, you're 1-2, 0-3. Then when you're basically eliminated later on in the year, he gets you a couple games, and it's like so brings his stats up to a respectable level. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think this is the year that finally steadies out, and you just get a consistent 12 at worst. Like the 30-point day is still coming in every now and again. I think the floor is really going to be raised this year.
If that's true, this is going to be such a tough division.
Yeah. And I think it will. I think it's going to be one of the best, most entertaining divisions in football this year.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Let's spend 4 seconds on the tight end. CJ Uzuma, you've got him as your tight end 30 on the projection board, all the way down at 38 on the big board, 42 catches, 407 yards, 2 touchdowns on 57 targets. Is there anything worth talking about here?
No, he ran some of the most routes among tight ends before he got hurt last year, but coming off an injury, wasn't really used on those routes, kind of like Ian Thomas last year. Just a decoy getting out there. He's the guy you'd want if you really want a tight end late here, but you don't. You don't want a tight end. No need to spend any more time on him.
All right. That was efficient.
What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.